gosh, I have to start this now. It just started hailing outside. Look at that. See that? See the hail? There's the hail piling up. Okay, so what's happened recently is I called my cousin a bitch ass nigger faggot. My male cousin, a bitch ass nigger faggot on Facebook. And I believe that it's an important discovery. All right, let me just go down my frantic notes that I've written here about what to share with you on this video. And then I didn't finish the most important part at the end. There's some more notes. I'm going to share these all with you. I'm going to try to go through them slowly and articulately. And then here's a list of close-ish family members that unfortunately are close to me while I'm exhibiting this behavior. And then here are, look at the fucking hail. There's a bunch of hashtags that I want to include on this. It was nice outside a minute ago. I was sleeping over there on a couch over there, slobbering on myself. I'll go more into that. And then this goalpost fell over. And then this storm came up. This is a brand new storm. Since I started writing these notes. I get this sort of behavior from reality in the form of what I call plot conflicts for quite a while now. And it gives me a God complex, a delusion of sorts. And Judge Vlack and Judge Waterman of St. Croix County, I hope that you're viewing this. I have a warrant out for my arrest. And I called my cousin, Dan, a bitch-ass nigger faggot on Facebook. Coincidentally, I don't hate anybody. My views on homosexuality are that people can't control the way that they're born. A great discovery that I've found that I haven't shared with people, that it isn't in these notes. Let me get the stuff that isn't in these notes taken care of first that I might have written down frantically, trying to get ready to hit the record button on this. I don't know where this video is going on my hard drive. That's a big problem. If I express this and it's not recorded in video, that's a big problem. There's probably, if anybody's viewing my Facebook page at all, probably, and I'm not checking my messages right now. I left a message to that effect. Do I have slobber on my face? A message to the effect that I was answering calls within a week or so for speaking tours related to me being the king. Storm isn't escalating outside. It's still, well, there's some beautiful snow coming. Everything seems to be okay. And I called somebody a bitch-ass nigger faggot on Facebook. Who cares who it is? I believe that that falls under something I've written here, which is you just don't do that. All right. I hope Judge Waterman is watching this. He's the one that would be reviewing my court case, you know, with this added information that what I'm doing with my time, not in jail, because I skipped my bail after, well, that I have another video that I haven't put out yet. I'll put that out at the same time I put this one out, I guess. Under the hashtag, this is the hashtag that I want it to. It's changes a little bit from one that I put out that finally let me rest. Now, from God, what I usually get when I don't need to do something, when I'm not being driven, is silence. I get peace when there aren't further distinctions upon the discoveries that the Holy Spirit or God is showing me. Okay? When I need to keep going, when God won't let me fucking sleep, keep sending plot conflicts at me. Oh, look. All right, it's cleared up now. Is plot conflicts. Shit fucking coming out of. It makes me quite, gives me a big head. Makes me think that I'm somebody that's special beyond normal human means, you know? All right. All right. So, the reason I hope Judge Black is watching is because, oh, this is something else I didn't write. Still doing stuff I didn't write, I guess. Several years ago, oh gosh, I should just do the backstory. All right, here goes. This obviously wasn't planned, but I was just going to keep writing stuff. The back horizon, the history of getting up to this point is just it's too deep. There's stuff that leads up to different parts of it. So my whole life has seemed just strange. The path of it. It got it, and I believe I had a spiritual emergence in the mid '90s, the early '90s, where things just started becoming more and more clear to me. It's like I feel like I dropped back from reality and was able to like look at things in a way that made me like hyper aware. Like walking through nature and stuff was just really, 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 really super intense for a while. And I'm not on any pharmaceuticals right now. I haven't drank for, I had a couple sips of alcohol, about this much in a bottle, like about 4 or 5 days ago. I dumped my marijuana out in October. I used to smoke quite a bit of it, the Blue Dream strain, and some Carl Sagan that really changed my thinking. Um, I want to make sure that everybody realizes that this video is not an apology for calling Dan a bitch ass nigger faggot. I believe that there's some distorting judgment going around. So, and this has to do with what I believe to be the curse of knowledge. I'm going to see how I wrote that here. The hashtag is just curse of knowledge without the word the on it. I'll go over that again and when I get to it. So the back horizon. I was in Port Angeles and I asked somebody when, for me, capitalism was running out. Like I could tell that the software development work that I was doing was getting exponentially hard to the point where that it didn't seem real anymore. That there was diminishing returns on it. I wasn't getting for the amount of work that I was doing and the effortlessness that other people were having around me. It was clear that I was being shown somehow that that wasn't the path that I was supposed to continue on. And at that point, I was looking north to Canada, across the water from Port Angeles, Washington State, northwest corner of the state, west of Seattle. You look north and across the Black Ball ferry route is beautiful Victoria, Columbia, British Columbia, Canada. I encourage you to look at all my Facebook posts that have been out there so far. I give some coordinates of places like Moscow and stuff. people in the Midwest, the non-coastal states, Midwest doesn't mean anything. Ohio isn't west of anything. And I'll get back to this point with Judge Flack and looking north to a particular point. But as you look through my Facebook posts and I bring up why Vladimir Putin is attacking Ukraine, draw a straight line from Moscow to Odessa, Ukraine, which is on the north shore of the Black Sea. And you'll see that what Putin is trying to do is create a migration route so that his people can get out of a place that is so cold that we can't even imagine. The people that can't imagine living in Minneapolis, who live on the West Coast from Seattle, which is where I've lived since 1999, and then west of there in Port Angeles, that people out there can't even imagine living in Minneapolis. And then there's Moscow, that's a lot further north. Minneapolis is at the 45th parallel, as is Seattle. Moscow is at the 55th parallel. And I'll try to put the right symbol there. I use an asterisk for the 55 degrees north longitude for Moscow. So the rewinding I was telling you about, I'm glad that I rewound to the beginning of the story. I was looking north across the Strait of Juan de Fuca from Port Angeles, Washington. Are you still with me? And looking in north across the water, which is usually we look east and west across the water. I was looking north across the water, and I asked somebody who's standing there with a stack of books, a Seventh-day Adventist, I believe. I asked them, "What is the will of God?" And this is the beginning of the story. And they said, much quicker than I just did, "Truth." That's the beginning of the story. And then I went to Santa Cruz, a tattoo on my chest. It's my Santa Cruz tattoo. My little snowboarder dude. All right. What is God's will? Truth. Went to Santa Cruz, which, if you translate that phrase, which I just said while speaking English, from Spanish, it's a Spanish phrase, kind of. I can say it in English, I can say it in Spanish, but it translates to Holy Cross. When I got that's my first tattoo, mostly. A little tiny small sperm on my toe before that. But that, where was that my first one? I didn't realize I got a tattoo over my heart, and I didn't realize that Santa Cruz meant, when translated from Spanish to English, when I say it in English, it doesn't mean anything. Santa Cruz, it's a city name. When I translate it from Spanish to English, it does pick up meaning. It means Holy Cross. I didn't realize that I got a tattoo of Holy Cross over my chest, over my heart, which is a really crazy place to get a tattoo. Needles going into your heart doesn't seem to be a good idea. And I didn't realize these things until 20 years after. Before, I didn't realize it until 20 years after, but it was before I asked somebody, what's God's will? Truth, they said. That's the beginning of the story. And I'd like to make special note here again for Judge Flack and for Judge Waterman, because after I asked what's God's will, somebody said truth. I went to Santa Cruz and was posting all kinds of crazy stuff on Facebook at that time because I was having an experience like Sam Wickwitty was, and I posted this, and it might still be up there. Shit. This is for me to do. All right. So in Transformers Fallen, Sam is sitting in a class that Rainn Wilson is teaching. It's Transformers Fallen, which is an analogy of people wasting gas, I believe. And he goes frantically through this book in this theatrical scene, which is what I had been going through before I asked somebody what God's will was. And it looked like he learned a bunch of stuff quickly. Um, I woke up one morning and was scared as fuck about what we were doing and who might be watching me and these sorts of things. Um, and then the next point in the story, I guess, you know, I was calling it the beginning, but it's when I asked what God's will was, and they said truth. Um, and I went to Santa Cruz, and then I drove across America to this area that I'm in here in Wisconsin um, to to meet my family for Thanksgiving. And my cousin at that point told me that everybody was meeting at my aunt's house near where my family, the Harrelton homestead, used to be at, and we no longer own. Didn't at the time, don't right now. Um, Said Thanksgiving was at her aunt's house or at her mother's house, my aunt. I show up, my immediate family isn't there. We have Thanksgiving. They don't seem thrilled. Things seemed really strange. Um, I wake up and I slept out in my truck, woke up in the morning, had breakfast alone with my aunt, talked to her about some world problems. And now this is a point of contention coming up here. Um, I mentioned to her that it would be a good idea for world problems to send IUDs out in every direction. Now, she got quite upset when I said that. Now, an IUD is a female contraceptive that would do something like pause or stop population growth. Something that not largely, that there's a specific uh, condition of the office of the Pope that says that people that belong to the Catholic Church, that you should listen to the Pope when he says that we need to stop or pause the population. And that was 2017, before in the height of the feminism nonsense, where they weren't really looking out for the common woman, but rather were talking about celebrities and stuff that should be the topic of like People News or People magazine and stuff. Um, Definitely things that don't affect men at all, unless you're a celebrity man. Um, and when I'm out in Seattle, the women are telling me, don't worry about stuff for men's rights. That's all covered in feminism. So what we heard in 2017, when I told my aunt, suggested to my aunt that we needed to send out female contraceptives in all directions and people to install them to slow down or pause the world's population, she got pissed off at me, very pissed off. I haven't seen her since. As I was leaving her house, I I borrowed a book, Troublemaker. That might have been before this. I don't remember where that happened during this conversation. I read the book, got the book back to her. It's about somebody who was kicked out of the Scientology religion. Somebody who was on one of the females that was on Who's the Boss or something. So, so I called my cousin Dan a bitch ass nigger faggot on Facebook, and then I'm rewinding a history here. And maybe you're still watching, maybe you aren't. I hope to get through this fairly quickly. So the morning after Thanksgiving, I suggest the female IUDs, and then I go to an inn in my hometown before I go to see my mother, who I have a strained relationship with. And I had some marijuana with me at the time. Marijuana isn't legal in Wisconsin. Um, I shouldn't have, maybe I should have brought that up just now. I don't think that it's pertinent because what I did is heard some encouraging stories on the radio and then went in and told some people, I think things are going to change. And as this is one of the things I've written recently, that change enrages or scares the shit out of the complacent. I said this to two complacent people and scared the shit out of them, or plot conflicts happened such that they called the police. I pulled them out of a cloud of a curse that I believe that is part of what I'm. There's people that should be losing their shit right now. There's are people that are losing their shit right now because they're saying Derek shouldn't be saying bitch ass nigger faggot. Look at him. He's a white guy. And then what happens at this point, and I hope that this is on there, it's one of the last keys to the curse of knowledge, which is the observer principle. That as soon as you are observing somebody, say you're observing me right now, as soon as you communicate about, especially in this case, as soon as you communicate about what they're doing, you're entering into judgment, or a synonym for judgment. An observation communicated is a judgment. When you say it out loud, you're making an assumption. You're making an assumption, and then you're putting it into words. At that moment, you're making a judgment. So this is the observer judgment principle. All right. So where the fuck is this going? We're 22 minutes in. Where the fuck is this going? Right? I'm not high. I did wake up just recently. Let me continue on with the story. Oh, the contention I mentioned, let me clear that up a minute ago, was that my mother, in her fucking fury, in her uncontrolled anger, that's just fine in chivalry. That's why I say on my Facebook posts that we're drunk on compound interest, high on pharmaceuticals, suffering from chivalry. My mother has an anger problem. That's not a normal mother thing. Usually that's a guy thing. Usually the guys have the anger problem, right? Because of testosterone and stuff. No, my mother has a serious fucking anger problem. Talk about the Medusa thing at the end. When this sort of type A woman starts hurling accusations at men and boys and such, this would have saved my brother about 50 years. The hand symbol to throw back Medusa. The hand symbol for I'm not talking right now. What this does is slows down an Asperger's attack, which is what she has. She has Asperger's because she's suffering from chivalry. She raised two boys and now has adult children. We're both near 50, and she still is in the condition as many women are. And this is the Medusa. If it was bad when it started, when she had an anger problem ever since, she was a single mother when I was young, and kept dumping us off at grandparents' house and stuff for a couple years at a time. She's had an anger problem ever since then. And then another common problem is that when women have adult children and they still think that they need to answer any sort of uncertainty that comes up in the vicinity, the way that you do for young infants to help mitigate, to get through their fear, that this entitlement deflation is a big part of mental illness that we're going through in the United States of America right now. that when people are guessing what's happening, when something is coming up that's unpleasant or whatever, when they're guessing and they're making rapid guesses, it's like when you play, it's like the Family Guy clip of when they're playing Pictionary, and Brian the dog is drawing, and there's some random guy that's on there, and he keeps guessing in this way, and this is his posture. Jackal, 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 jackal. Is it jackal? Jackal, 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 jackal. Is it jackal? Jackal, jackal, jackal. Is it jackal? Jackal, 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 right? Jackal, 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 right? And this is the rapid fire brain movement that our brains have, and this is the scary end, and it's on the other end of this cloud of this curse that I'm finding out about here. It's that when something seems wrong, we don't quite know what it is, and we keep making guesses, but this is a specific case. It's when the brain doesn't know, it doesn't have the next guess. So what does it do? It keeps saying the same thing in different ways. Jackal, jackal, jackal. Is it jackal? Jackal, jackal, jackal. The Mattel board game of Pictionary is a special game in that the rules say that you're not supposed to give the answer. This is part of the curse of knowledge. We believe that we fucking know everything, and when we don't actually know it, we don't stop. Now, when you're on the other end of this, as I experienced in Camp Second Chance in South Seattle, it's really scary. When you bring up new knowledge and people want to justify previous behavior that was based on taking away this knowledge, they fucking go nuts trying to guess. They'll get in your face like this, and they'll try to, they're guessing, and they'll patiently wait behind the next person. And when you're in a village of 52 people that do this, and you bring up new knowledge, and they're all trying to wait behind you, it gets really fucking scary because they keep doing this, and they're, is it this? Is it that? Is it that? It's this, right? It's that, right? And every time that you answer, they can't just accept that because we can't seem to just accept patience and humility. Now, I called Dan, my cousin, a bitch ass nigger faggot. I'm hoping that a bunch of black people see that, but not niggers. What is a nigger? Look on my Facebook page. It's somebody who's aggressive or oppressive or stupid. Black culture is not nigger culture. Nigger culture is not black culture. It's not the same thing. That's one of the distinctions we need to pull out of this first. Morgan Freeman would agree with me. My old boss, Al, a big black truck, my boss for 5 years. I was a manager at LexisNexis. He was a director. I'm not supposed to mention the name of the company, though you all know it, that I worked at with Al after LexisNexis. It was an ensemble cast of people. The software industry is a sham. It's a hobby. The code that handles the tasks of the things that we do is already done, and nobody wants anything new. And the confusion of our economy, that there's this thing that some of us don't know how to do called software development that I do know how to do, which is why I'm going through what I went through before you guys, through this Asperger's like entitlement deflation of that our economy is not meaningful. Capitalism is not meaningful. We don't need it. The illusion that you have, since you don't know how to develop software like I do, my passion, my entire life, since I taught it to myself when I was a little kid, is a hobby. A lot of these companies that have developed these software to do these things, it doesn't matter how many people are going through this code at the level of HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, which is all the internet can deliver in a browser for the most part. The value of some of these electronic signature companies that hold all of our mortgages, for instance, it isn't the software that puts it in front of you on your computer. That part the agreement that the people have, the software development people have, is that the secretary can maintain this. It's not worth hundreds of thousands of dollars a year of a salary because of how smart these people are. There's nothing there. They don't show that to people right away, but there's nothing there. The value of an electronic signature company that holds the mortgages of all of the real estate contracts in the United States of America is the storage of it. The database is storing that. And that stuff just sits there. And it needs to have a roof, it needs to have electricity, it needs to keep running, it needs to have hard space on the computer and CPU cycles when people are accessing these documents, which is rarely in the data terms. You know, once a day is once an eon in our terms, right? All right. So I called somebody a bitch ass nigger faggot, and you shouldn't do that. I put some stuff up there about true speak as well. The word shouldn't is 2 levels above an ultimatum. And the word should have is 2 levels above an ultimatum. An ultimatum is where you're declaring that something should or shouldn't happen. Should have is commonly told from parents to children. You shouldn't have done that. In the terms of truth and justice, should have is 2 levels above an ultimatum. Derek shouldn't say bitch ass nigger faggot. Although everything still seems to be okay right now. All right. So I'm looking north from Port Angeles across the beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. And I ask what God's will is. Truth is the response I get. I go to Santa Cruz, tattoo on my chest, hang out there for a little while, then go across the country I was in Nebraska, and I asked on Facebook where Thanksgiving was at. My cousin says, it wasn't at my aunt's house. Yeah, she wasn't there. She says, my aunt's house, or her mother's house, I go there, have Thanksgiving there. They don't seem excited to see me. And then I mention sending out IUDs in all directions, and then I go to rest at a hotel in my hometown before going to see my mother and my brother for Thanksgiving. This is when I still owned my truck before the cops in Port Angeles stole it from me. Thanks for that. Sarcastic? Who knows? Was that last statement sarcastic? I believe things happen as they should. So I get arrested at the American in Richmond, Wisconsin. And then I said, I think things are going to change. People flipped out. Coincidentally, I did have marijuana. You know, when you're pointing blame and stuff, you know, when an illegal substance comes up, you know, looking back at an event or whatever, you know, that seems to make sense. Somehow, you know, maybe because I tried to tell a joke a couple times at the front desk, whatever. So this was before COVID. So I go in to register at the hotel. I say to some people in the hot tub, things are going to change. They get upset. I'm sitting in the hot tub when the police came in, sitting in the hot tub. And as the police report said, and this is exactly what I was doing, I was sitting in there by myself, staring at the wall. It said I was staring at a brick in the wall. Oh, that sounds like a Pink Floyd thing when I think about it. So I hadn't been arrested much at this point. I've been arrested a bunch since then. But what happened at that point was they were there, and they didn't really say anything. Seems to happen to me a lot, that people don't say things to me, but when that I have a reaction of some sort, then it's then that they overreact. So I picked up my stuff from around the hot tub. So I assumed that we were going to go out and talk or something. And I had my some of my luggage and stuff upstairs, and I didn't know what to do, what we're going to do at that point. So as the video shows, that I don't have at this point, um, as we were going out, as we were in the lobby, it took them like 4 months to produce this video for me, to give me this video, and then it's ludicrous, and then the 911 video is the same. I wonder if it's even me. Um, uh, Anyways, this is before COVID-19, and this is why I'm not sure that it's me. Um, and there's no doubting that this happened, because it's, well, let me just get to the story. Uh, one of the things that came out of COVID-19, luckily, was social distancing. This would have been useful in feminism. Didn't come out during feminism. Big 2017 feminism push. Those were only a couple of People magazine headlines. Social distancing came out with COVID-19. Okay? Now, it should be a circle around you, not a line to either side or whatever, like it says. It should be 6 feet away in all directions, right? Think of like a ski hill is the best way to think about it, rather than the diagrams that they show you. You stay away from people. You don't line up right behind people at waiting for crosswalks and this sort of thing, which people seem to do that, because that doesn't violate the sign of the COVID-19 video. Y'all are unconscious right now, by the way. You're unconscious. And I'm trying to wake you the fuck up. Trying real fucking hard. But people line up right behind other people at the crosswalks after COVID-19. They'll social distance, if it's in the correct directions that are on the signs. But if it's behind one another at a crosswalk, if you're standing there at night or whatever, and you walk up silently behind somebody in an unconscious way, it's scary as shit. Nobody else on the street. You turn around, somebody's right there. I see it happen frequently, right? So what happened to me in the hotel, after I was looking at a brick on the wall, is that the cops followed me out to the lobby, and the cops did that same thing that they do at the crosswalks. This guy was right the fuck behind me. So I turn around. This is me. I turn around. There's a wall like right here. Like I'm this far away from the wall. And then there's me. And then there's a cop that's right behind me. I turn around. So I'm facing him. I was this close to him. He hadn't said anything at this point. I'm asking him a question. I don't believe that this is what really happened. I believe reality was altered at this point. Nonetheless, I'm guilty enough from what happened, which is that I push him arm's length away. Now, I have short arms. My arms aren't that long. I'm a short guy. I'm 5'7", 5'8" on a good day. Maybe taller now. I'll explain that in a minute. I push him arm's distance away before social distancing. At that point, they monkey pile on me. This guy is right, faggot length from my face, way too close. I support gay rights. I don't support gay men thinking that they want to sodomize me. I walked past a man that had been raped one time. I really regret that. There are things I regret in my life. The look on that guy's face, his pants pulled down over a holding dock and him crying. I wish I would have pulled over and stopped. I've been threatened for rape. Why would you bring that up, Derek? Whoa. Person knowledge. Relax. Let me bring up at this point that how did I put it? Oh yeah, beyond the emotional response awaits the reasoning response. Beyond the emotional response, which is the response that we have when we're not thinking, when we're unconscious, awaits the reasoning response. Awaits. Let's think about that word for a minute. Sometimes you can wait for things and they never happen. To get past an emotional response, to get beyond the emotional response, awaits the reasoning response. What that bit of philosophy means is that unless something occurs, an awakening of some sort, a realization of some sort, you might not ever get to the reasoning response. You might not ever get there. Now, I called my cousin Dan a bitch-ass nigger faggot. This video is not, fuck you, Dan, you fucking idiot. Wake the fuck up. You're supposed to be a smart guy. You're not awake yet. Beyond the emotional response awaits the reasoning response. This video is not an apology. We're almost ready for me to roll through. And people that do tests on this, like Landmark Forum or whatever, they should start after I'm going to do a little bit of acting, a little bit of exaggerating, after I have almost laid the groundwork here at 41 minutes into this video. Now, some of the other groundwork, some of the shit I'm uncertain about, so I guess it should go here too. Did the Civil Rights Act happen in 1962, 1964, or 1972? I believe I was conceived on the evening of the Civil Rights Act signing and then born October 19th, 1972. I've been saying it for a long time. I don't look up many facts on the internet. You can change Wikipedia. The Civil Rights Act, as I've been looking it up until pretty recently, as I've been getting closer to this curse of knowledge, has been that it was signed on March 27th, 1972. Now, my mother, who's largely estranged from me right now, would know this. And just to spite me, she would say, no, it wasn't. In the same way that people can be consumed by spirits. Have you guys ever seen this? Now, there's a phrase that my mother said, which is that no woman is good enough for my son. This is the way that spiritual warfare happens from whatever evil spirit is that has been following me. Now, before I left Port Angeles, there was a strange fire. I believe it was around. There was a biblical I touched a biblical point where somebody with my middle name, Ezra, Ibn Ezra, made a comparison some point in history between an owl and a demon. And then on Wikipedia, there was he either died by being pulled down by a pack of wild dogs or died peacefully in his bed. Did the Civil Rights Act happen 1962, 1964, 1972? All right. So after I pushed the police away, I don't believe that that's what happened because of what I'm about to tell you next. A bunch of guys piled on top of me. Now, what I remember from this event is the important part, and it's something that I can prove, and that all the people that know me, have been around me in the last couple of years, can clearly observe happening. Almost to the point where the police officer in my hometown, tried to stick his knee through my temple while I was on the floor, like the way that they did on George Floyd's back and killed him. Now, at this point, the judgment is coming out. So I'm just going to pause. And let's say that this is also a good point to take group B that's observing this and to pause and to have a conversation about what comes next. This would be good for a position for a landmark forum coach. Cops, police threw me on the ground after I social distanced them and stuck his knee on my forehead and then put all of his weight on it, like George Floyd. "45 minutes, 50 seconds. What I did next was the only thing anybody could do. I was pinned between the floor and this police officer's knee. I turned my head straight down. It's the only thing you can do. Somebody's pushing down on you to pull away from that position. You can't go backwards. You have to go forward and put your nose straight down on the floor. There was so much pressure that it put a scrape above my eye. I got carpet burn above my eye because somebody's pressing down so hard on my head from just doing one movement. It scraped my forehead from here to here. Now, what's happened since then and why I didn't show up for court, Judge Flack and Judge Waterman, is because in increasing amounts ever since then, I have been straightening out my body by cracking the shit out of it. It's the torrential. Look, it's pleasant outside now. Goes right along with my mood, just like most things do, strangely. So this is 2017 this happened, I mentioned. Ever since then, in increasing amounts, as I've been cracking my neck, I've been straightening out my spine. Oh, this was the whole point of what I was going to put on video. As I woke up slobbering on myself over there, 20 hours a day, 24 hours a day, sometimes with no sleep, and then sometimes with a bunch of sleep, and then I'm a runner, so I'll go out and run, and then it seems to, gosh darn it. I got in the condition where I can't really show you the video, but you know, as I've been sleeping downstairs here, or laying down really, people probably assume I'm sleeping, and I'm sometimes I'm trying to sleep. I'm in a relaxed state where I'm trying to get to sleep, but that I'll crack continuously for like 20 hours at a time. And no, I haven't been to a doctor about it. And the reason that I know that it's working or that it's good is because when it seems like this back part of my neck here is, this is finally the backstory is done for this condition that people are probably losing their shit about. And then there's an important distinction about something that I've been trying to do that doesn't make any sense to me. I think I'm finally starting to realize, and it's due to what seems to be close to a curse. But anyways, as I'm cracking my neck for like 20 hours at a time, I know that it's working because at certain points, what it feels like when after this police officer cracked my skull, he made it possible for me to move the plates around in my head, the craniosacral plates in my head, such that I'm healing myself. I'm 50 years old. I feel like my face and stuff, like that I'm getting younger, and that I'm getting into a condition where, like in the biblical sense, where Methuselah lived 900 years. It's an awakening that I believe that I'm on the forefront of, and that I'm evidence of in every single way. One of the ways is people living a lot longer due to what I believe to be divine intervention. When that police officer tried to stick his knee through my skull, that he cracked this open enough that when I'm moving this stuff around, and I wish I could demonstrate it right now, um, that what happens is that places that were on my body awaken, like my whole jaw over here. It feels like that there was like dried blood or something underneath here as I crack through it and get through all of this stuff, um, that I'm there's a condition of like osteopathy with isolate, resonate, dissipate. One of my philosophies that I'm using these principles to stretch out muscles that have never been stretched out in my body before. They're in a crystal-like state, and when I access them, they go like, and this goes into areas like along my eye. There's a set of muscles right here. I remember going through these recently. Along right here, there's a set of muscles that goes between your cheek and the top of your skull right here. Digging into these muscles recently and pulling them apart for the first time, moving the plates around in my head, I accessed like these in a row, and it was like, right? And then at the end of that, that'll open up something else. And then through isolate, resonate, dissipate, and through osteopathy, I'm going to go through this really quick, and doing like just real light stretches. What I start to feel is areas opening up on my back, and them starting to be connected. Um, I don't know if I have spinal bifida or some other spinal condition that people go insane if you tell them about, but you know, or maybe it's just something that was brought about by this police officer sticking his knee through my skull. But what it feels like and why I know I don't need to go to the doctor, even though I'm missing my court dates and calling people bitch ass nigger faggot, things happen for a reason. But that manna, it feels like manna from heaven is like going down my back as my back wakes up, and a lot of pain goes away. A lot of pain. All right. So that police officer, he George Floyd's my skull. When I write about that, that's what I'm saying. George Floyded my skull. He tried to stick his knee through my temple. After that, through Judge Vlack's courtroom at St. Croix County Court, I hope you guys are still watching. That I sat there for 6 months, and then at the end of it, Judge Vlack asked me, "Did Derek asked my attorney actually? I don't need to say his name here. He asked my attorney, did Derek get mad that entire time?" Which my attorney said no, and then they let me go. They observed me that whole time after the police officer did that to me. It didn't occur to me that he wasn't going to bring up why I got mad, because there's legal liability to having done that to somebody. I'm not upset about it. Things happen for a reason. I believe it was divine intervention. I'm getting a lot of health benefits about it. I tried to write this to these guys several times before missing my court appointments, both to Judge Vlack and to Judge Waterman, to help them understand what I've been going through, which has been rejuvenating health, great health. And I believe I'm being guided by the Holy Spirit, because while I was slobbering in a half wake, half sleep, lucid dreaming over there when I was thinking, oh my God, I should put this on video because I feel like I'm getting to the end of this where that um, it feels like that like parts of my jaw were connected to my shoulder in weird ways. I'm getting to the end of this, that it might not happen anymore, and that the end result of it is just a lot of good health, and that there won't be any proof of me in this cracking. To be able to show people, not necessarily use as an excuse why I wasn't showing up in court. I have some delusions about whether that's a necessary thing, as I wonder if it was necessary when I was talking to Judge Vlack. Rather than them to check up on me and to make sure that I was okay because of something about me. I believe that something might be people being closely watched that were born on or near the Civil Rights Act of 1972 in a prophetic way, that their realities are going to be dramatically different from the generation before them. I believe that I'm one of the elders of the Generation X generation, and that that the particular time that I was born has put me in a vortex of plot conflicts and things that are leading me up to being able to transition us out of having an economy, having capitalism, because of my right livelihood. Right livelihood is what you do when you get out of bed in the morning, that you do without money, and that for me is programming. Um, Snowden said, the guy who wrote Cryptonomicron, he says, uh, in the future, there'll be pizza delivery and software development. And there's the illusion, for especially from people from Wisconsin here, where there's not software development jobs, that it's the impetus to continue, that it's the unknown beyond your everyday existence, that puts our mind in a condition that there's somebody doing something somewhere that's just so incredibly hard that we need to have an economy for it. Software development, when done correctly, all of the stuff that we're concerned about as humans should already be done. Maintained to the level that the secretary, or you or I, let's say you, are able to look at this code and to maintain it and to modify it. Software development is a hobby, not a profession. Storing the data is something that's important, so that we know where people can put up no property sign, no trespassing signs, based on the Homestead Act, saying, I'm improving this piece of land so I can take ownership of it, and what I consider improving it in 2022 is putting up a no trespassing sign on it, such that if you're stupid enough, you shouldn't have done that, to lose your residence, where you're one pink slip away from not being able to pay your bills and being evicted from your house and being homeless, you're back to Jesus's request for that there should be housing for the poor. That if you have to start over, or there's nothing viable to do, there's no work to do, which is the condition that we're in. There's no work to do in most of the places in America. There's no work to do. You can stand around and wait to make sandwiches for people. You can make snowmobiles for people and never own one. You can make enough hockey sticks for all the teams in America, I'm sure, in about a week in some of these factories. We've built all this stuff up for all of this growth, and we're in an Asperger's state I'm right at about an hour here. I'm going to pause and I'm just going to go through the stuff that I wrote down here. I'm going to flip dramatically right at 1 hour. Oh my God. You wouldn't believe it. I was just, oh. Can you hear that? Yeah, just for like, I didn't sleep last night. It was, yeah. I remember it being like 8 or 9 o'clock, and I put on some music onto Alexa, and I've been cracking my neck ever since. Oh, it feels so good though. I have like a little bit of pain in my lower back right here, but oh, luckily I wrote down some notes to share with you guys. Long time ago, I asked somebody what God's will was. They said truth. Came across to Thanksgiving at my aunt's house. Mentioned that we needed to send out IUDs in all directions, female contraceptives, because it was the most non-mutilating. And that this is a solution to a lot of thinking that I've been done, like this Sam Witwicky guy in the Transformers movie, where they're trying to show us that gas is, that the evil Transformers, they're trying to waste the gas cubes, and then the good Transformers, the good semis and stuff, that they're trying to use the gas for good. Sam Witwicky, he goes through this book while he's sitting in Rainn Wilson's astronomy class, and he like learns a bunch of stuff at one time. And this is similar to like when I woke up at the end of when I realized that my software development career, my passion for my whole life, was coming to an end. That there was a diminishing return. I hope you know what that means about the work that I was doing, and it was then that I saw a prophetic vision that the electronic signatures company that I was at, that I can't mention unless I have to pay $400. I signed up. They gave dude 40 grand. Gave dude 40 grand, and I realized that didn't last very long. I got like a hotel room, like, probably like 10 times. Bought some books. I never begged or anything. I'm homeless right now. I'm at my brother's house. Um, like Gary Iverson, real famous artist from Santa Cruz. But, oh God, I'm getting way off track. I get like this when I do a lot of cracking and stuff, or like, do like performance art, or any of the other things I'm talented at. But the reason I wanted to bring this up, and I bet you that there's a lot of people out in the video blogging world that are just losing their shit right now, or just people that are looking at my Facebook page, because I called my cousin bitch ass nigger faggot. Yeah, he said, Derek, you need an editor, and he said, well, you need to stop bringing up straight white male rights though, and need to bow down to Black Lives Matter, feminism, and LGBTQ. Or at least that's what I read when. I didn't have my glasses on at the time, and when I read the text message, it was like I saw editor, and that I needed to do something differently. And now this has been a cue to me my whole life, really. The success I had is because I did things opposite of what my mom said, which she said, just go have fun. I decided to work 15 years before I got into a software development career. Worked for 15 years as a software developer, as a manager. I managed at LexisNexis, had this black boss, Al, which I did a lot of talking with. I think that he knows that I'm not a racist. And then my friend Zach, who started when I first knew Zach, she was Maggie, then he was Zach, one of my best friends, Frisbee buddies. I think that person could testify to as well that I'm not a homophobe. Since then, I've encountered through myself and to witnessing other people. I wish I would have stopped for this guy, but he was up on North Aurora in Seattle, and it looked like he'd just been raped. His pants were pulled down. He was kind of doubled over a loading dock, and he was crying. And I was walking by in the alley, and this is before I think I had my wits about me and this sort of thing. It was that comfortable in that area where I have a storage unit at 145th, where I Jesus my stuff. I left all my stuff. People probably think that that's crazy. Why would you do that in capitalism? Why would you just leave your stuff behind? Well, I didn't have any place to put it. Getting way off track here. Let me stay on the script here. I think I've made an important discovery about some sort of curse. Now I've been. All right, so I woke up one morning. I was real scared. Felt like Sam Witwicky from the Transformers Fallen movie, taking Rainn Wilson's class. Asked about what was God's will. They said truth. Important discovery. Oh yeah, the curse of knowledge. So I believe that when I started worrying about my own future, when my software development career was coming to an end and my paycheck was one pink slip away from going away, and I had a girlfriend and a stepson to take care of, my girlfriend's kid, that I started to get real worried about what I was going to do next. This fear-like Asperger's condition, when you don't know what's the matter, can be murderous at times. I believe this is when things like murder happen. I called the FBI about this. They hung up on me about I was like, I had a script, and I was like, well, I'll have to share the script at another time, but they hung up on me. They said, I've heard enough. There's lots of synonyms for judgment, assertion, assumption, conclusion, and such. Let me get back to the script here on the curse of knowledge and an important discovery. So I've been distracted a lot since a police officer in my hometown tried to stick his knee through my temple and cracked my craniosacral skull plates. And I've been moving around this stuff and going through cracking sessions that take up to like 20 hours at a time, right? All day, every day, homeless in my truck. After my girlfriend found another guy, to probably pay the bills and stuff, and then oh, this is actually part of a different video. Not all of you are seeing it, but at the conclusion of my court case with Judge Vlack, at the beginning of it, this is what actually I meant to tell earlier. I went in there thinking that I didn't do anything wrong, so that I might get out of there that day. It was an inconvenience for me to get to court that day. I think it had been snowing. Maybe it didn't. I don't remember. I felt inconvenienced to be there because I knew I didn't do anything wrong. And so I had quite an attitude about me. I was just real quiet. I'm an introvert. Even when I have an attitude about me, it's more about me not being present in the moment and my thinking going off on a tangent. People observing me outside of that would just be like, they might not even notice, But what happened, and I've been experiencing this, is that the case before me, there was a dude that looked quite surprised when Judge Vlack rewound. And I wonder if Judge Vlack even remembers this, or if he was present, or if somebody didn't step into him like the Stephen King novel, The Drawing of the Three. Like the condition that might exist when a doppelganger, somebody who is somebody else, is experiencing world either intentionally or non-intentionally. What happened before the first court hearing that I had with Judge Vlack at St. Croix County Court was the person before me, Judge Vlack rewound. He said, "Oh, I know you showed up here at court today and blah, blah this and blah, blah that. Blah, 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 blah. And then what we have here is a form," he says. "There's a form here. It's a signature form. It says that you were here today. Do you understand that?" He says to the person in front of me. "Do you understand that you have to sign this form to say that you were here today?" And then he goes through probably what he normally says when he deals with people that have to fill out this form or whatever. He goes through his judge script, that he goes over, and the guy looked just stunned, and he looks back at me like, "What the fuck?" And he looked at me again. I was the only one sitting back there. Never saw the guy again. Judge Vlack rewound. Other places I've seen people rewind as I'm trying to track down this curse, this important discovery that I'm close to that I haven't quite figured out yet, is people rewinding. The other place I see people rewind is one of the defenses to either just straight up cruelty to white straight males or to Asperger attacks, or through people stepping into demons, stepping in and acting as people. It's with this defense that I've come up with name calling. One of the reasons I decided to turn on this video, I had the delusion in my head that there were some people looking at my Facebook page. Maybe this is because I didn't consider time when I was half asleep, half awake, feeling like a god, was that when some people looked at the words that I wrote to my white cousin, where I called him a bitch ass nigger faggot, and he unfriended me on Facebook, that they switched to something that I mentioned in a previous video. Some of you are watching this straight through, some of you aren't. I'm hoping to use this for Landmark Forum. There's another case that I want to bring up with women saying that they're sorry, that I have in text messages to a chaplain's assistant. But here's the transition. I was in a lucid waking moment imagining people, perhaps my cousin, perhaps my father, who maybe isn't dead. It's another delusion I have, is that my dad maybe isn't dead. That's my initial, is dead, D-E-D. Anyways, it's this condition. Beyond the emotional response awaits the reasoning response. That when people were reading bitch ass nigger faggot and considering the possibility that you can either have an emotional reaction to something or a reasoning response to something, that they grew up, that they got past the emotional response of you shouldn't do that, and should have is 2 levels past an ultimatum, past an agreement at least, that you shouldn't do something. It's in uncharted territory, just the word should have. You shouldn't do that. You should do that. You shouldn't do that. Right? Same kind of thing. Both directives. It's steps past judgment. It includes things like guilt, like regret, just in one word. Derek shouldn't call anybody a bitch ass nigger faggot. That somebody reading my Facebook page without the aid of this video figured it out themselves. They got out of the curse themselves, where they're not going to reach the reasoning response. That they pull themselves out of the emotional response that says, these are just sounds. Bitch, ass, nigger, faggot are just sounds that come out of our mouths that somebody that doesn't speak English wouldn't even know what they mean. That there's the potential to come above the emotional response where we all agreed on previously. I didn't fucking agree to it. I'm not a racist. I'm not a homophobe. These are words that people have an emotional response to. Beyond the emotional response awaits the reasoning response. You may never get there. You may look out the window and wait for the sea captain to come back your whole life, ma'am. He ain't coming back. We found a shipwreck here. We found this there. Their ship sank. You know, it's just an example of the word awaits. You may never get out of that. You're going to be emotional when you see the word bitch ass nigger faggot. The words bitch ass nigger faggot put together. You may never get out of that. That's an emotional response for you. That may never happen to you. That's what this sentence means. Beyond the emotional response awaits the reasoning response. You may never get there. There's people reading my Facebook page. I'm hoping, I'm dreaming that they wake up and say, wait a minute, everything's still okay. Nothing happened. We agree that that shouldn't happen, but the only thing that that agreement has done is ensured that I'm staying in an emotional response. That's what children do. That's what little fucking boys and little fucking girls do. They have an emotional response when somebody calls them a name. Judge Black rewound. He said, you got to sign this agreement that said you were here today before you leave. Do you understand that? Was he controlled by a demon at that point? Why was he rewinding? Why was this guy stunned by his response? Because it was non-standard. They kept me there for 6 months going back after staring at a brick on the wall and the cops trying to stick his fucking knee through my head. For this guy who just looked like a convict. He was, whether he was or not, that's a judgment on my part. Whether he was or not, what happened was that his court case went through like that in front of me. Then they kept me there for a long time. These are things that lead me to believe that the Holy Spirit or something beyond our knowledge and control made sure that I stayed there. And then what happened after that was that I'm tearing my whole body apart, and it's making me a great runner. I run much better now since that happened, after my body breaking apart and spending 20 hours a day doing it and ignoring going to court and having a warrant out for my arrest right now. Okay. I've been, and since I think I built it up properly now, what I have been trying to figure out is why, when the Democrats say that the gas is going to run out in 75 years or less, this is a couple of years ago I looked at this, that the government of the United States of America was saying that in 75 years, we're going to be out of gas. So now I've been trying to raise the awareness of people that that's a very bad condition and that we need to start having institutional housing, and nobody is listening. Nobody cares. The most common response that I get is that, oh, something will happen. Oh, something will make it okay. So for those people waiting for magic, I came up recently after trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with the world and why people are still having children when their lifespans are well beyond, when we're not going to have an element of which there are only a limited amount on Earth to heat our homes with forced air furnaces, especially in the state of Wisconsin. Now, I haven't seen the gas is going to run out commercial since the 1980s. It's 2022. That was 32 years ago. I remember seeing the last commercial about the scarcity of a non-replenishable resource that is greatly going to change our lives. Greatly. Unless we come up with something like magic. Fusion, for instance. A nuclear reactor. We know how to do that, but then Chernobyl happened. It turned the whole town to glass. The ground there is still just glass. It's going to be for a million years. Most people decided they don't want a nuclear reactor in their neighborhood. So what do we have left? Magic. That's what I came up with. And I'm going to change it before posting this video with the position of the Pope. Help the Pope pause, not necessarily cap, help the Pope pause childbirth unless oil is made from magic. After waking up scared as shit one morning and trying to figure out how I was going to live, I started to wonder how everybody else was going to live. And it woke me up to a realization that's beyond the curse of knowledge that we're in, that the economy is helping out with and is equivalent to an attack of the devil or Satan and because it clouds our ability to think about rationally making decisions such as having children. Now, the Pope could say from the top, we need to stop childbirth. That's problematic. Telling people, especially women with motherly entitlement, that they can't have children anymore is going to cause problems. Could cause wars. Right? It's all part of this stuff that's, I believe I'm being put right in the front of, and I'm the only one that's awake enough that the Holy Spirit is pushing forward. No, but unless I'm being observed and this is a test, which is one of the possibilities that I constantly live with, unless this is a test that I'm going through, that I'm the only one that, like Sam Witwicky, that a higher power has been able to wake up enough to be able to educate the rest of the people to stop having children, and that the best way to do that is to start it from within, say at a church congregation where there's a vote that all of the church, that they watch this and then they see, oh, okay, well, yeah, maybe not everybody else, which we can't, in truth speak, you can't fathom everybody else. No, just us here. If we here say we all have to get vasectomies and hysterectomies to make sure that we cannot have children, and that if we make a news story about this and wake other people up in the same way that I've woken you up, that another church congregation would say, we have a zero childbirth policy. And that this is the way of starting a population pause or of childbirth, or a population cap of childbirth, happens from within, and that the Pope can, after this momentum has started, give it the seal of the office of the Vatican to say, yes, it's time. We have estimates right now that say that the end of gasoline is well within the lives of people being conceived right now. And we have a choice to conceive people or not. It's called sterilizing your population, giving them vasectomies and hysterectomies such that they can't have children. That the Pope can gather on to this momentum after the population has woken up from the curse that we're in, that seems to, what seems to be holding us in place is Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, feminism, keeping us in a childlike state, overreacting to meaningless words that put us in an emotional state where we can act upon and judge upon somebody else, and that's our course of being okay in the moment with the power of now. That we can choose to do one thing in the power of now, and what's that going to be? Well, he shouldn't have said bitch ass nigger faggot. Or some other plot conflict that keeps you going in the rat race called the economy, that makes you not wake up and tell other people that having children is a very bad idea right now, unless you believe in magic. If you watch the Carl Sagan video, Pale Blue Dot, as they turned the Voyager spacecraft around as it left our solar system, you see how insignificantly small our planet is. And we are so far from any other place that we're not going to be bringing resources to Earth. We have all that we're going to have here. And when you walk outside, if you're in Russia, if you're in South America, if you're in Africa, if you're in America, if you're on Easter Island, Rapa Nui out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, if you're on a raft in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, when you look around, you see the sky. Are we going to use that to keep ourselves warm in northern environments when the gas runs out? Places like Wisconsin, Canada, and Moscow? We see trees. Yes, we can stick those in a place and burn them and generate heat from that. What happens when we cut down all the trees? The wind gets worse and it takes away the soil. This is what happened in Oklahoma around the Depression era. It wasn't good. You get close to cannibalistic states where there's nothing to eat. People are eating horse. They're eating their last beast of burden to plow the field. Now they can't even plow the field anymore. They're burning the furniture. We burned the last furniture to stay warm. What do we do next? It's negative 20 degrees outside. Have some children. That's where I'm at, where nobody's listening. That you're introducing new people voluntarily that you claim that you love, when the government says the gas is going to, of the United States of America, says the gas is going to last between 75 and 1,000 years. You have a better solution. You say, no, it's going to be okay. Why is this? Part of the reason is the resurrection principle of continuance. that Jesus Christ is going to come and going to perform some magic after he's magically resurrected. That's what you're betting on. Okay. I'm a Christian. I'm not going to go any further than that. That's part of the curse of knowledge, however. It's what's kept us complacent and kept us from not hurting each other for a long, long time. I can't disparage that. However, when I look forward to our future, which nobody else seems to be doing, that seems to be the biggest culprit keeping us intact and making bad decisions, especially since the Bible says, go forth and multiply. I'm a computer programmer, coincidentally. When you create a loop that doesn't have a sentinel or an endpoint, it's called an infinite loop. A computer will keep running until, well, there's controls in it these days. It's not going to destroy the computer. It'll give you bad performance on your computer. What happens when you do this in electricity? It's called a short circuit. Electricians out there who don't know how to program will tell you, you don't want short circuits. Those cause fires. Similarly, our brain thinks really fast, and when it can't come up with a solution to our own continuance, when we know that the gas is running out and that we can't get any more, and that the only elements that are here that we've found are gas in the ground, earth, not going to get much heat out of earth, not going to be able to eat earth, trees, and water. That's it. That's all we have on this pale blue dot. As when Carl Sagan says it, that every peasant, every supreme ruler that has ever existed happened right there on that tiny speck of dot of earth. Right now, we're idolizing an economy and the confusion, a tool of the devil that is keeping you into believing that it's still a viable thing to do is because you have to pay your rent and pay your bills. It's not viable. The only thing the economy is around for, there is a distribution of goods within that, of your supply chain for the things that you need. The biggest thing that it does, it deals with your boredom. That's the biggest part of the economy, is for when you're bored. If you try to be part of your supply chain, good luck. Unless you live in Mexico, we don't grow any of the stuff that we eat. You can't be part of that system. It's simply not, in Wisconsin anyway, unless it's harvest time, planting time, fertilizing time, time to feed the cows, time to milk the cows. You're part of that through currency, through I'm helping out get through type A women's justification that nobody should be around sleeping during the day, and keeping us away from breeding like rabbits, probably, when there's nothing to do except to have sex. That sex is also a cure for boredom. It's free, and that the conditions that I'm talking about are actually pretty scary when you think about boredom and think about a future that doesn't have any new discoveries coming up. That women's genitals might get real tired getting us through that. The solution, get off the pharmaceuticals and start meditating. Meditate, don't meditate, don't medicate. We need to get people meditating. Seriously. And to stop having emotional responses and to start having reasoning responses. To get over issues that can be solved in this way. Here's the punchline for why I think it might be funny, or that I find great joy in people getting through this. Because the emotional reaction that this causes can be stopped with one hyphenated word. Name caller, bitch ass nigger faggot. Here. Name caller, faggot. Name caller, idiot. Name caller. See how fucking ridiculous this is? We have 3 organizations, Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, and feminism, that haven't accomplished anything except hiding the emotion, the pure venom in the should have, should not have, shouldn't of the words nigger, faggot, and cunt. That's what we've accomplished, while we've got the plane that's our civilization, the airplane that's about to crash into the building or into the mountain. That's where we're stuck at, awaiting a reasoning response for a rational response to start making better decisions about pausing the population unless gas is made out of magic. Now, you know, that should be part of the conversation. Government officials coming in and assuring us that nope, gas is a real thing. When we have when America causes wars with Middle Eastern countries and takes over their oil fields and pulls their oil out of there, that's real. Nope. Nope. It's not made out of magic. No, it'll run out at some point. That every drop of it that we use, we can't get back. That's true. Nope, and we can't go get any more. Nope. Can't do that. I still haven't heard a reason why he's using these cuss words. I still haven't heard a reason why he's saying nigger. I still haven't heard it. That's more important than telling people you can't have kids. Who the fuck wants to hear that? That's where I'm stuck at. Waking you people up. Breathe. Read my Facebook page. There's clues in there that if you think about, might be the vitamin pill that busts you out of whatever fucking delusion that you're in. I hope. It's probably different for every single one of you. As I've gone through this population explosion problem, do you think it's a problem, the population explosion? Well, religious people, I was an atheist and an agnostic before I was a Christian. I'm still a Christian. Islam means submission. They're up for whatever we're up for, by the way. Yeah. It's just us deciding it here in America that they're waiting for. waiting for us to stop consuming non-replenishable resources like a bunch of fucking nitwit lunatics and still having children. Look at the sub-message in the movie Traitor with Don Cheadle and guy from Dumb and Dumber, opposite Tim Carey, Greg Daniels. How important it is when Greg Daniels dies in that movie. When Greg Daniels dies in that movie, it's because he's onto the same problem that I'm onto right here. It's this curse of knowledge that's keeping us away from, in America, making good decisions. It's all of the distractions that we have that come back to the power of now, where we don't want to think about it. We can do one thing at a time. And I guarantee it isn't thinking about a future that's not viable. We find something else to have an emotion about. We find something else that grabs our attention. While I have been suspended, cracking myself, I am so glad that I've left these Facebook messages up there. I'm so glad, because it's helped me realize, even in my advanced state of not letting these things affect me, that it's going to be the best teaching tool to break people out of, that they're never going to get to a response where they're thinking if they can't get away from childish, emotional traps like name calling. This is what's going to be required, lest otherwise we will be drugged down to hell. We have 75 or so years to start creating a world that is not dependent on oil. That's a long time. Let's say a natural disaster happens tomorrow, and we have to figure that out before we're dead. You have 3 minutes of air, they say, 3 days without water, hydration, 3 weeks without food, shelter, depending on the conditions. You know, that these are time spans that you have. We have a lot of time to focus on a problem as soon as we realize that magic isn't going to bring us out of the problem, which is that the non-replenishable resource called oil, fuel, gas is going to run out. And that we have to start compensating for that now. Otherwise, we're going to be greatly inconvenienced, let's say. Or let's say that we're going to be the most hated generations that have ever lived on Earth. When somewhere, somehow, somebody figures out how to bring up a movie about something, and they go, wow, I never seen a movie before. They didn't have electricity where I grew up. And everybody gets it because they never got to drive in a car down the road. They never got to fly in an airplane. You can't imagine that future, because this is just a downer. Derek isn't very entertaining. I think I'm going to change the channel. Now, this is why I bring up the idea of kingship. Because a king or a Messiah, the second definition for Messiah, one is just a successful manager. That's the second definition of Messiah. That the ancients in the Bible, when they said
go forth and multiply, when Isaiah came and said, there's going to be somebody that's going to come and there's going to be a resurrection, he thought that maybe it might be problematic with space eventually, that if we just keep going forth and multiplying, that sometimes you might run out of space. We seem pretty close to that right now when bunches of people can't get into shelters. And somewhere along the way, they introduced a new element, gasoline, for the internal combustion engine. That got us past the beasts of burden called horses that were able to plow fields that started the Industrial Revolution. Papua New Guinea, coincidentally, is one of the only places on Earth, if you watch Jared Diamond's Germs, Guns, and Steel video, where they still have a one-to-one relationship without beasts of burden gathering their food. They they knock down trees, grind it up with the local plants, and eat it. History of the world, you know, since Industrial Revolution is shirts. Nobody makes their own shirts in their own country. You hand that off to somebody else through this thing that we call an economy. And then there's all these different, poorer and poorer countries that make the shirts for the little bit more advanced countries. And then those people get further away from being able to do anything tangible at all for anybody else. This is where Snowden talks about in the future we'll have software development and pizza delivery. That isn't useful to any other country. The software development coming out of the United States of America isn't useful to anybody else. Gmail was useful, Facebook was useful. It hasn't changed. Let me go through this. You just don't do that. That's where we're stuck at. That's the ultimatum that's behind. You shouldn't say that. You just don't do that. I haven't heard anybody call anybody a nigger my entire lifetime. I called my cousin, my white cousin, a nigger. You just don't do that. Okay, maybe we could focus on something more fucking important. This condition where I can't get people to listen to this catastrophic change that's coming up, I'm calling this mental illness. And the phrase that I use for this, since the baby boomers who probably just think, why is he so caustic towards us, this Generation Xer? This is the phrase that I use that's the excuse for them not to be elders and to look out for our future. That the baby boomers are drunk on capitalism or drunk on compound interest, high on pharmaceuticals, suffering from chivalry. Type A women interrupt and say, oh, that'll never work. That'll never happen. Things will never change. I'm just going to keep having kids. Oh, we can't not have kids. You got to work. Can't sleep during the day. These are the stupid sayings that keep us away from looking at our future. These should have statements that people can just release out there like voodoo, like evil, mental illness. It comes in many forms. I'm saying out there that mental illness is a difference. One form of mental illness is a difference between what we say and what we mean. This is saying, have a nice day, and meaning fuck you. That's not useful. That follows the stupid perception thing that women have that, oh, he knows I like him. This mental telepathy thing that they have, they share it with dogs too. You don't speak dogs, ladies. Don't narrate for the dogs. They fucking hate it. I can tell. Because when I bring it up, they lick my hand and they're so generous towards me when they usually bite me. When I bring up that you don't know how to speak dog, that you're being mentally ill. People just look at me and say, this man is not a gentleman. He said that to a woman. This is what I refer to as suffering from chivalry. That chivalry is the reason that mental illness is continuing when mostly overweight women narrate for their dogs that they can speak dog. That besides giving themselves the power of God, dog spelled backwards, through childbirth, that you can't take away from them, you can't tell me what to do with my body. Besides the fact that that produces other human beings who have lifespans between 75 and 100 years, when we don't have the village resources to take care of them. This is a form of mental illness. Mental illness is the difference between one form of mental illness is the difference between what we say and what we mean. When you ask somebody a yes or no question and they have this idiom stuck in their vernacular, the way that they talk, when they say, well, no, and they mean actually. Through posturing, through power tripping, through ignorance, somebody who's saying, well, no, when you've just asked a yes or no question, puts communication out of phase. And this, when communication gets out of phase, strange things happen. Communication is phasic. Somebody talks, and then you listen, and then the stages come into play. And it's consideration is the phase it gets haywire when you use well, no, and mean actually when asking a yes or no question. You listen, you comprehend the words, comprehend the language, then you understand the meaning, you seek to understand the meaning, and then you consider, you think about what was said. You have thoughts afterwards within yourself after you have received that message through the act of communication. The only way we can interact with other human beings besides collision. We could run into other people. We can have subconscious communication. Then we have verbal or written communication. That's it. Think about it. Except when we, we can interact with other people when we use up all their resources. That affects other people in a way. But through communication, when it gets out of phase, you get some really strange. When somebody's already considering that you're saying no to a yes or no question, that you've already heard no, and they'll say they're doing their own thing, you don't know whether this person is saying yes or no. What happens is that it looks like the person that's listening isn't being patient and humble. And this is a condition that the speaker can raise to anger very quickly through because they're not being heard, when in fact the communication already ended. The conclusion was reached. Yes or no, when asked, is a safe stopping point except recently. When people mistakenly use the word no to mean actually. Think about it. Mental illness is the difference between what we say and what we mean. This is a murderous situation as exasperated by Asperger's that causes immediate conflict. If you look around this place here, there's no interruptions. We have an interruption in oil coming up in 75 to 1,000 years, but I have peace right here. Communication is phasic. It has phases. When those phases go haywire, get interrupted, you have non-peace in your current vicinity. Okay? Think about those different kind of distinctions. They'll help you clear up this curse of knowledge, and you'll wake up sometime, I hope, so I can start talking to one other goddamn person on Earth that's not a fucking lunatic that stops short with judgment. Oh, you're just you just judgment, stopping short. Don't draw conclusions. I have more knowledge than you could take in perhaps ever. You have more knowledge than I could take in, and how long, I don't know. I believe that I have, like Sam Witwicky from Transformers, been accelerated greatly. And I'm waiting for you guys to catch up. While you call me mentally ill, largely because you can't focus on the realities that I'm pulling up that are going to affect you unless you are, like the baby boomers, drunk on compound interest, high on pharmaceuticals, suffering from chivalry, 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on a banana peel. You're about to die, and you don't care that the time span of oil is coming up because it's beyond your lifetime. I'm of Generation X. My lifetime extends beyond yours, baby boomer. Let's wake up. Let's wake up and realize this. That when you have the snap decision that says, no, the gas isn't going to run out, that you mean during your generation's lifespan. That you're leaving all the generations behind in a real bad state. Baby boomers are murderously destroying resources by not being elders for generations X, generations Y, generation Z, generation Alpha. Shame on you, baby boomers. Wake up. We have 75 years or less, or more. You don't want to be caught with your pants down with this one. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. You guys put more energy into playing a fucking football game than you put into your fucking children's future. You piece of shit fucking baby boomers. God damn you. Luckily, a police officer tried to stick his knee through my head and paused me enough to slow you fucking idiots down. Elon Musk, you fuck up. You've probably wasted more fucking gas than anybody in the history of the fucking world. You fucking fuck up. God damn it, you're dumb, Elon Musk, you dumb motherfucker. We need a national debate on the emotional response to bitch ass nigger faggot and how you're being a bunch of little fucking babies. That's what I'm hoping comes out of this video. Help the Pope pause childbirth unless oil is made out of magic. Made from magic. Help the Pope pause childbirth unless oil is made from magic. Fucking idiot. Elon Musk, you fuck up! I hope this video makes its way to the view of the following people. Judge Vlack, as I've mentioned, St. Croix County Courts. He was my previous judge there when I didn't do anything wrong. Judge Waterman, my current judge, who I believe has put out a warrant for my arrest. I asked the police chief of New Richmond over the phone if I have a warrant out for my arrest. He said that I did. My uncle, Paul Dunham, previous cop from New Richmond. Those are people I hope see this. I don't need to mention the other ones there right now. My Uncle Paul would be a good one, though, if I can reconnect with my father's side of my family, who seem to be an intelligent bunch of people. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And their reaction to change, needed rational change, might be fearful for them because there's not a solution that seems, you know, it's not right there for them. It took me a while to come up with that we need to pause the population birth while pause childbirth. You hear the forced air gas furnace kick in there? That's more non-replenishable resources that aren't coming back. That my solution is we from the inside we pause childbirth through one church congregation. Says we're going to be the leaders and the forward thinkers on this and create a news story, and that hopefully others will follow, and then the Pope can step in and say, yes, oh my gosh, somebody's finally fucking helping me out. This Derek guy is finally fucking helping me out. Somebody in the middle of America is finally helping me out with these fucking lunatics over here. They're fucking airplanes that can make it to anywhere and kill people right out of the sky. I helped with that, by the way. I'm prior military. I made sure that the encrypted messages could get there. My father made sure that that they got that the refueling planes halfway across the oceans had parts. I'm guilty as fuck in this. Trying to rectify that. Curse of knowledge. That's one of the things making it so that people aren't talking about this. Through the power of now, or the disabling non-solution part of the power of now, where we don't have a solution beyond it, so it's not comfortable for us to think about it for that long, that it's really easy to get distracted, that the solution is to pause. Maybe later on we decide we never want to have any more children because the lifespans of people here are starting to get to be like they did in the Bible, like 900 years with Methuselah or Yoda from Star Wars, or hundreds of years, such that we realize that people are living way too long. We're not going to decrease the lifespans. Nobody's going to want to just kill themselves. That's a hard one to go through, especially when we have great health from cracking our bodies apart like Derek experienced. Yeah, I think we should just stop having children, altogether. Maybe we'll just all live forever here in the kingdom of heaven. Right now, we're stuck in the curse of knowledge, which is you shouldn't say that. I don't see any reason why he used the word faggot. I did. F-A-G-G-O-T. Like getting over that emotional response, getting to the reasoning response is something that, as I write about online, that TruthSpeak gets to. TruthSpeak helps us transition from the emotional response to the reasoning response. One of the big things that holds us up, besides the cuss words, by the way, cuss words all refer to specific people. Motherfucker refers to fathers. Bitch, slut, whore, those refer to promiscuous women, or women. A slut fucks everybody, a bitch fucks everybody but you. Faggot and nigger, and cunt, I believe that these refer to people that are being unnecessarily aggressive, perhaps using spiritual warfare, and that the name calling, even though it's an escalation of aggression, shouldn't be packaged up because it gives it more venom. that we need to get rid of the emotional venom associated with these words so we stop acting like little children and enable ourselves to start making good decisions, which we apparently aren't doing. Right? Unless gas is made out of magic. So I hope that Joe Biden sees this, and he knows that Joe Biden knows. Like you go tattle and you tell mom and dad, Derek called somebody a bitch ass nigger faggot. Go tell Joe Biden. Go tell your governors. Read my Facebook pages. And by the way, when I quote people on Facebook, if it's anything serious, I quote the previous governor of Minnesota and the current governor of Minnesota, Walz and Daley, I believe. When I quote them on Facebook, that could be any northern judge since they started warning us that the oil was going to run out in the 1980s. The transition of power between two governors is what I put out there. When I try to find my audience as a writer, I use my writer's voice in my head. I picked out two arbitrary governors and I didn't write down there, and I'm not going to change it. Those are two arbitrary governors that, if they are responsible for their constituents, that there should be a conversation that says, so what is the deal about oil? That's all those conversations are about. Now, when Tim Walz gets on there and says, I'm going to go sue Derek Dunham for libel, written slander, then I hope you do. So then that'll get some publicity around it, start getting into some fucking attention. I'll go to jail for the rest of my fucking life. I don't have children. I'll go to jail for the rest of my fucking life if we can get this issue on the fucking forefront. Because I don't want to be the fucking elder when the gas runs out through a stupid natural disaster that we haven't even started to plan for, and we're all standing around going, I don't know. And I'm the fucking elder because you fucking baby boomers that are drunk on your compound interest, high on your pharmaceuticals, suffering from chivalry, with 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on a banana peel, didn't give a fuck about. That's what you're leaving the entire fucking world with. That's why one of my solutions for this is generational leadership, so that younger generations can have realizations like this and not overcome the tremendous burden that our elders have left us with of bringing up issues like this. And I'm referring to this issue when I talk about it as making the way straight for Jesus. For when we have two parts of our brain, the thinker and the prover. I have prayers there. If your thinker keeps bringing up things that you don't want to think about, how to get control of your brain again. When the thinker in a 7-year-old little girl brings up that this is how we can avoid a rape-based nation by this one simple thing, that idea can get actioned upon. And this is what I'm calling making the way straight for Jesus through generational leadership. That once we get the immediate fucking, we're about to fucking crash, we need to do something about the oil problem. When we get that out of the way, when our immediate needs are taken care of, we can start about looking about how to make all of our futures more comfortable and safe, and to avoid things like a rape-based nation when boredom takes over, when capitalism can't provide us with that anymore. When people are bored with all the movies and there's no new movies coming out and we think that we know everything. And we've got these Asperger conditions that we just don't even know what's going on. It's because we think that we know everything, and we draw conclusions, which is a synonym for judgment, that we can't start to really take a look at some of these problems and to make reasoning, rational compensation for them, so that we're not being a bunch of reactionaries, so that we're thinking about our future rather than, how am I going to make this rent payment? How am I going to make this mortgage payment? How am I going to get this paper in? How am I going to make dinner for my kids? They're fucking going crazy. Bitch ass nigger faggot. Who's upset? Who's upset right now? Who's in their emotional response right now? He shouldn't be saying that. Who is? It's all on my Facebook page. Listen, for those of you who have been following it, I'm sorry. Not for anything that I've said, but for that I just delete it all every once in a while. I seem to be leading us into getting out of this curse. I'm making attempts at doing that, and sometimes I realize that I can't go any further because what I said might not be all of the truth, that there might be distinctions upon what I said, that I need to slow down. And then this is when the cracking comes in, 20 hours, cracking, that I get slowed down so that I can finally deliver this in the right way, because I can't ever deliver this message again with the veracity. Some of it will be resolved in my head, and I won't be able to get over that, since I recorded this on video, even though I haven't put it on YouTube, made it public, and shared it on my Facebook page, and people have watched it. I am in a resolved state after, in a therapeutic sort of way. This is the process that happens in therapy, that once you get it off your chest, that even if the issue isn't actually resolved, that it's resolved for the person, for the speaker, and nobody else is speaking the truth that I'm bringing up here, that seems like fall off a stump stupidity fucking, are you fucking kidding me? No, gas isn't made out of magic, unless it is. Is that the joke? Is that the joke on me? I don't know. Because of this curse, I can't depend on any of your reactions. You're not making good decisions. When you're not listening to what I have to say about this, to me it seems like that there's a mental illness going on with you. And why is that? Because there's not a place for you to land. It's there's a saying, don't you dare bring up a problem without a solution. This is something a manager should think about, to bringing it up to his superior. Oh, this is good. So my old boss, Al, LexisNexis, online legal research company, where I was a manager, he told me, one of the wisdoms that he gave me, outside of the manager training I had in the Dayton, Ohio office for LexisNexis, they're the publisher of all the books and stuff that are at the borders. You need to open up the borders. You need to let Canada into the U.S. It's too fucking cold up there not to use gas in the middle of the wintertime. They cut down all the trees. You get dust storms like Oklahoma. Same with Moscow and the Ukraine. I'm pretty sure they're allies and that there's not really a war going on over there. Is there really a war going on in the Ukraine? Or is, Putin trying to tell us, yes, it's time to stop the gas. Yes, it's in the middle of America where this needs to come from. And yes, the Pope cannot do this by himself without a lot of conflict, that it needs to come from the inside of America, that somebody needs to come forth from the inside of America. This is the position, this is the prophecy I was telling you about Isaiah, that somebody needs to come up from the inside, that it's not from the top down, that it's not from the top of the military, which happens to be the president. Well, let's say it's the generals, military generals. They can't tell the people, stop having children. This is a horrible scientific nightmare, or science fiction nightmare. The topic of horrific science fiction stuff that we wouldn't want to be a part of. Although it's something that we need to do. We need to pause childbirth. It's in the movies. China tried to do it in the 1930s through Big Brother. They opened up people's front doors and murdered all the smart people. And they said, all the rest of these people here, you have kids, it's not going to be good for you. They call it the Cultural Revolution. That's how it's hidden. It was China's first attempt at pausing the population. It didn't work, obviously. And this is the religious story of Adam and Eve. One man and one woman can result in, what are we at right now? 7.5, 8.5 billion people. And then all of those combinations of people can result in yet more people. So again, where does the change have to come from to pause a population? It can't come from the top of the military. Women aren't going to listen to that. It's supposed to come from the top of the church, from the Pope. If he says that, the secular people, the non-religious people, to protest are going to do, like I said, that they do in Russia, like a Russian carpenter told me once. To protest their government, women just have sex and have babies. That this change needs to come from within. And if it's not from the church, and it's not from the military, is it from the executive branch? Is it Joe Biden saying you can't have a baby? No. It's somebody from within. This is the condition of a king arising, a Messiah arising. Why? Because this is somebody who cannot get elected. You're never going to get elected to bring about the news that we need to stop, go forth and multiply. That we need to stop before there's a fire, like in the electrical condition that I mentioned, the short circuit, or an infinite loop in programming that it just keeps going, and it's too fast to even think about it. But it needs to come from within. And then what happens after the change? What happens after the childbirth change, or the childbirth cap? This is the best that I've come up with. Since we aren't having kids, and let's say the news stories work when congregations of non-Catholic people first start saying, we agree, our congregation is not going to worry about everybody else, and we're going to say we're capable of realizing that for our descendants, for our children, that we need to sterilize ourselves with vasectomies and hysterectomies, that we can do that, and then we can share that with the media, and then the media can share that with the world, and that with that momentum, that can start to break that untruth, that nobody else is going to listen to this. Nobody's going to listen to it from generals in the military. Nobody's going to listen to it from Joe Biden. Nobody's going to listen to it from the Pope either. It's got to come from within. This is the resurrection. It's somebody who's responsible enough to step into this position and to wake people up through this phrase that I've come up with, which is responsibility over electability. Somebody that wakes people up enough so that we make this decision. But to do something like this, you're going to want an incentive. And it's not an incentive to get something less than what you already have. To stop doing something isn't an incentive. So I've come up with one for you. Are you ready for it? We ignore the type A woman that's at the head of the school board that says, we can't let homeless people and poor people into our schools. That's what's going to happen if we make this a public facility that has band rooms that create music in them. That's the first incentive. Music. What do you do when you're bored? What are the things you can do? You can go for a run, you can go for a walk, you can jump up in the air, you can go to sleep. You can eat. You can watch a movie if you have electricity, if you have capitalism, you have an entertainment industry. What can you do? Listening to music is a pretty good one. It can make our bodies move. We can have our moods change with it. How can the incentive is with the momentum of not having children anymore, that frees up our schools. A lot of schools have pools at them. I would suggest ignoring the type A personality woman and the school board and saying, let's vote anyway, and getting everybody in the town in there. Like, let's say in this town in Wisconsin, I'm not going to mention the name of, it says, we're bored as shit. Let's stop having kids and open up the school. Kids that we're having, we don't have the problem solved for them. We, as a village, we don't have the resources for the rest of their lives. It's completely irresponsible for us to have kids. We should stop having kids. Well, and then, if we stop having kids, that means one of our 3 schools in this town isn't being used anymore. And that fulfills Jesus' prophecy. Religious people, Luke 4. Housing for the poor. Another way of saying housing for the poor is institutional housing. Housing you don't pay for. Well, people trash things they don't appreciate. Yeah, we need to ease into it, and it needs to be done in an introductory way, the same way that sterilizing ourselves by congregations needs to happen. But it needs to happen, and who is going to tell you to do that? Who's going to lead that charge? This guy. Everybody everybody thought that I was nuts, but it's only because I'm being rational and real. Let me go on. So we paused the childbirth in one given town, and we make the school open to the public, the facilities that are in the school, weightlifting, the pool, and we augment the music rooms, assign, this is the room for rock, this is the room for rap, this is the room for folk. You go in there, get an instrument, check an instrument out, go in there, start playing it, and all of a sudden you get to do this thing that you never thought you could do. Everybody wants to play music, I guarantee it. You get to go in there and make music. It's much easier to make music when there's already people doing it. You can be a rock star with this plan. This is all we have to do. Assign a room to the music type and make it open. Or we could turn this into a rate-based nation by ignoring the gas problem until a natural disaster happens or it just runs out. And then bored, crazy guys who are pissed off that our generation didn't fucking fix this when they could have are just going to go around and start raping people. That's the end of it. That's hell. Or go through, make a vote at your church, make a vote at your school, open up the fucking doors, and fulfill Jesus' prophecy. When in Luke 4, when Jesus said, I'm going to make institutional housing, you know what somebody almost did? They almost threw him off a cliff. This is because all this stuff is ingrained in capitalism. Imagine that that's probably the inn owner, the hotel owner in the local town. Well, if we make housing free for the poor, then how am I going to feed my family? Right? It's part of a transition that um, that needs to happen. And what's the incentive? That we open up the schools in every town in America and connect them with pathways that we don't need to expend one drop of oil on to get between, and we reduce the set of things that we need to the size of one wardrobe. That all your shoes, all your clothes, that's what we use gas for, is to transport it between these different places when we migrate between seasons, when we realize it's too fucking cold to be in Canada in the wintertime, we're wasting way too much gas. That we open up the border, we pile all the wardrobes into a trailer in one vehicle, and that especially the unfit people, the people that are overweight, that they start migrating. And then you walk 5 miles south and you get to the next school and your wardrobe is there waiting for you next to your own set of sheets, maybe even your own bed that pops out of that. Like, imagine a trundle bed that pops out of that. We're sleeping on stuff that's too soft anyway. The Chinese have it right. They sleep on these like wooden slats. It's much better for your body to break them apart, break your body apart and stuff. But we minimize the amount of stuff that we have, and we stop wasting our resources in the wrong place, to the tune of not one more child should be born, not one more child should be conceived. I'll say it that way. We don't need to have a bunch of abortions. We need to stop conception, though, right now, before Easter in 2022. We need to come up with plans that make it so that we don't have to expend one more drop of oil, because the alternative about waiting for magic to solve us and to come up with a solution because technology is just so fucking amazing, we can't depend on that. My name is Derek Ezra Dunham, and this is my bid for a fucking future, as well as for generational leadership of Generation X, to keep the presidency of the United States of America in place, largely to cure the boredom of the old people, and to put somebody in place that says our future isn't viable and we're still having kids. What are we, murderers? Wake up. Truth speak. Increasing the reasoning response. Mental illness is the difference between what we say and what we mean. New offices are needed. The office of the Messiah, the office of generational leadership is needed. Who else is in this space bringing this up? Is it going to be Elon Musk running in and saying, I have the answer, I have the answer, I have the answer? Or is it going to be somebody who, I believe I've been put through this training by God. I don't have anything fanatical to say other than let's start making good choices. I've tried to round up all the reasons why I think that are in the way of us not have already done this. I would rather, much, much, much rather, show up in a town, dust off my sandals from my last town because I don't know what those people were up to, but I wasn't into it. Come to a new town, my wardrobe there, my toothbrush, my chopsticks, my set of plates. I don't need to keep my guitar anymore. I left that at the last place. I'll check out a guitar when it's time for me to play music, like an hour a week. That's all I've been playing music lately. So I'll go check out a guitar and just pick a room. What kind of music do I want to play today? Just go in that room. Circle of work. Is there? I've signed in. I was just going to play some music, but I want to ask first: is there any work I should do to help out here first? What work needs to be done? Whoa, 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 whoa! Slow down, Derek. Slow down. For the first 2 days you're here, there isn't a lot of work to do. First of all, this is what I told Roland when he got to camp second chance. Black dude. He'll tell you I'm not a racist. Anyways, what do you do when you're here the first 2 days? You rest up, you acclimatize, you have fun, and then you sign up for the circle of work. If you're going to go from the traveler state to the squatter state, you're going to be staying for a while. That's the only time when it's worth signing up for work. Wait for 2 days. Wait for 3 days. 3 days. Woo, you know, maybe you sign in when you get there. Whatever. 3 days. Oh, your number came up. You're having so much fun. You're in a great state to be able to do good work now. Right? So then you become part of the circle of work. Well, we need to put in a volleyball court over here, which means shoveling some sand. Okay, we go and do that. This is the kind of stuff I did in the military. You know, the local community tried to use the military for something other than wars. You know, it was that kind of thing, digging volleyball courts in, whatever. You know, and then we have a retrospective on Friday. You know, if you have a complaint about something, don't start yelling at somebody, or if they do, they're going to tell you. You know, go for a brisk walk and write it down and put it in the complaint thing, and then we bring it up in a non-confrontational way. It's a retrospective of the week or the 2 weeks or whatever, depending on how many problems exist in the vicinity. You know, this stuff is so simple to fix. As soon as we start busting out of what appears to be Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, and feminism, and type A personalities, like I've been saying on Facebook. From just doing what makes sense and making a viable future for ourselves. To do what Jesus said when he set out. They told him, we're going to throw you off a fucking cliff, to make institutional housing and to create pathways in between them. What I came up with were these directions. You don't have to have signs for the next town or whatever. On the right side of the road, the same side of the road that people drive on, this is what they do in the Czech Republic. It was great. That going south is red, like for heat. Going north is blue. So if you want to, it's too hot. You're in Texas, and it's May. It's the month of May, right? You want to go north. It's too hot, and we're not going to be turning on the air conditioner. We don't have the electricity around here for that. Migrate. We'll have your wardrobe waiting for you at the next station. Blue. Go blue. Go in the blue direction. That's north. It was, you know, you get about 50 miles or so, you're going to get down about 10 degrees. So blue is north, red is south. For those reasons, green, in America anyway, wilderness is generally west. So green is wilderness, and then yellow is east towards the cities, like all the cities on the East Coast and stuff. Yes, there's cities on the West Coast. There's more cities on the East Coast, and they're closer. You know, also like yellow is a friendship color. So that's the system for like being able to move between these institutional housing or housing for the poor, as Jesus put it. And then, so that's what happens after the population pause. My name is Derek Ezra Dunham, and this is my 2.5-hour bid for not having a warrant out for my arrest anymore, because I'm just being antagonized by the Holy Spirit to slow down to be able to give this message, I believe. I'm sorry I didn't respond to your text messages, Judge Waterman, and show up in court. I hope you make it to the end of this video. I hope you do, Judge Vlack, and can give me some insight into Are you guys the divine? As your police officer trying to stick his knee through my temple? Was that part of the conditioning to be able to provide this message to help the Pope out, to pause population, uh, pause the childbirth, and to help with the population explosion problem? Was that on purpose, Judge Black? That's the way I look at my life right now. It's like it like all seems to make sense as I go towards being able to save us as a savior. I can't do magic. It's maybe magic. Oh, Junior did his homework. It's like a miracle. Well, that isn't a miracle. That's just doing something. Is it a miracle that I could affect the population growth on planet Earth? Well, maybe I could be a savior in that way, but I can't perform magic. I'm a smart guy, and I solve problems all day long, which is part of the conditioning, I believe, for this. Even though that software development isn't a viable future, for us to lead up to be able to, you know, have an economy. It's great for boredom. It's great to solve problems. I'm going to make a text-based adventure game that's based on morals. How do you do that? Oh, here's my philosophy for that. If you want to learn how to program, start with JSON, JSON in JavaScript. It's my bid for generational leadership. And, well, quite frankly, not to get raped in the future that the baby boomers have in store for us.